Welcome to this Functional Skills Level 1 Maths training video. This video contains information and guidance on Criterion 12. Approximate by rounding to a whole number or to 1 or 2 decimal places. At Level 1, and by the end of this session, you should be able to understand what approximate and round mean and why they are useful. Identify the place value of digits in numbers up to 2 decimal places, tenths and hundredths. Round to the nearest whole number. Round to 1 decimal place, tenths. And round to 2 decimal places, hundredths. Approximation is when we find a number close to the original number that is easier to work with. By simplifying the number, the calculation becomes easier. Rounding means making a number simpler but keeping it close to the original number's value. For example, calculate 5.89 multiplied by 9. 5.89 can be rounded to 6 to make the calculation easier. 6 is relatively close to 5.89. The calculation becomes 6 multiplied by 9. In essence, approximating and rounding are useful because they make numbers easier to work with in everyday situations, such as estimating costs or amounts. Let's move on to place value. Place value tells us the value of each digit in a number. The position of each digit within a number is important for recognizing place value. Let's look at some examples. In the number 583, the 5 is in the hundreds column. Its value is 5 hundreds or 500. The 8 is in the tens column, so it's worth 8 tens or 80. The digit 3 is in the ones or units column. It is worth 3 ones or 3. In the number 6,201, the 6 is in the thousands column. It has a value of 6 thousands or 6,000. The 2 is in the hundreds column, so it is worth 2 hundreds or 200. Here, we can also see there is a 0 in the tens column. There are no tens in this number. The 0 is a placeholder. It stops the other numbers from being mistaken as tens. Finally, the 1 is in the ones or units column, so its value is 1. Now it's your turn. Here are 2 numbers, 9,006 and 118. Pause the video and write down the value of each digit, then press play when you're ready to continue. Let's review your answers. In 118, the first one is worth 100. The second one is worth 110. And the 8 is worth 8 ones. In 9006, the digit 9 is in the thousands column, so it is worth 9 thousands or 9,000. There are no hundreds or tens. The 6 is worth 6 ones or 6. Now it's time to move on to recognizing the place value of decimals. Let's look at recognizing the place value of decimals. The first digit after the decimal point is known as the tenths. The second digit after the decimal point is known as the hundredths. Look at the number 47.1. The 1 is the first digit after the decimal point. It is in the tenths column. Therefore, it is worth 1/10. Look at the number 6.43. The 4 is the first digit after the decimal point. Therefore, it is in the tenths column and worth 4/10. The second digit after the decimal point is 3. It is in the hundredths column and is worth 3 hundredths. Now it's your turn. Describe the place value of the digits in the number 19.084. Pause the video, then press play when you're ready to continue. describe the place value of the digits in the number 19.084. The 1 is in the tens place. The 9 is in the ones place. Next, we can see the decimal point. The first digit after the decimal point is 0, which is in the tenths place. The second digit after the decimal point is 8. It is in the hundredths place. The third digit after the decimal point is 4. It is in the thousandths place. Let's move on to rounding. When rounding to the nearest whole number, there are 2 steps. Step 1. Look at the next digit. This is the tenths digit. Remember, this is the digit after the decimal point. Step 2. Round up or down. When rounding the whole number up or down, we need to follow the rule. 5 or more, round up. 4 or less, round down. There is a clever rhyme we can use to help you remember this. 5 or more, go next door. 4 or less, give it a rest. Let's look at some examples. 15.4. Step 1. Find the tenths digit. In 15.4, the tenths digit is a 4. Step 2. Round up or down. Because this tenths digit is a 4, we need to round the whole number down. Rounding down also means that the whole number will stay the same. Therefore, we round 15.4 down to the nearest whole number, which is 15. In 8.71, the tenths digit is 7. It does not matter how many digits follow the tenths or their value. We only need to look at the tenths. As the tenths is a 7, we round 8.71 up to the next whole number, which is 9. All the other digits after the whole number are left off. If we include any numbers after the digits we're being asked to round to, the answer is incorrect. Now it's your turn. Round 157.4 and 9.921 to their nearest whole numbers. Pause the video, then press play when you're ready to continue. When rounding 157.4 to the nearest whole number, we must first look at the next digit, which is the tenths digit. The tenths digit is a 4. Therefore, we round 157.4 down to 157. When rounding 9.921 to the nearest whole number, we must first look at the tenths digit. The tenths digit is a 9. Therefore, we must round 9.921 up to the next whole number, which is 10. Let's move on to rounding to 1 decimal place. Rounding to 1 decimal place is the same as rounding to the nearest tenth. Again, there are 2 steps. Step 1. Look at the next digit. Because we're rounding to 1 decimal place, or the nearest tenth, the next digit is the hundredths digit. Step 2. Round up or down. When rounding, we always follow the rule 5 or more, round up. 4 or less, round down. In 3.56, the hundredths digit is a 6. Therefore, we round 3.56 up to 3.6. Notice that the answer only has 1 decimal place. Any numbers following the first decimal place have not been included. In 12.446, the hundredths digit is 4. It does not matter how many digits follow the hundredths or their value. We only need to look at the hundredths when we are rounding to 1 decimal place. As the hundredths is a 4, we round 12.446 down to 12.4. Now it's your turn. Answer these questions by rounding each number to one decimal place. Pause the video, then press play when you're ready to continue. When rounding to one decimal place, we must first look at the next digit, which is the hundredths digit. In 574.05, the hundredths digit is a 5. Therefore, we round 574.05 up to 574.1. When rounding 6.639 to one decimal place, we must first look at the hundredths digit. The hundredths digit is a 3. Therefore, we round 6.639 down to 6.6. The final question asks us to round each number to one decimal place before calculating the answer. When rounded to one decimal place, 59.6325 becomes 59.6. When 6.444 is rounded to one decimal place, it becomes 6.4. We can then subtract 6.4 from 59.2, which gives us an answer of 53.2. Please note that you will not receive any marks in your exam if you work out the answer to a question like this one without rounding. Let's move on to rounding to two decimal places. This is the same as rounding to the nearest hundredth. When rounding to two decimal places, there are two steps. Step 1. Look at the next digit. When rounding to two decimal places, or the nearest hundredth, the next digit is the thousandths digit. Step 2. Look at this digit and decide whether you need to round up or down. In 1.709, the thousandths digit is a 9. Therefore, we round 1.709 up to 1.71. Again, notice that every digit after two decimal places has been dropped from our final answer. Now it's your turn. Answer these questions by rounding each number to two decimal places. Pause the video, then press play when you're ready to continue. Did you get the answers right? Let's look at the first question. In 14.6567, the third digit after the decimal point is a 6. Therefore, we round 14.6567 up to 14.66. Don't forget this question uses pounds, so we need to add our units. The final answer is £14.66. In question B, the thousandths digit is a 4. Therefore, 742.354 rounds down to £742.35. Question C is asking us to round each number to two decimal places before calculating the answer. 4.296 becomes 4.30 or 4.3. 1.0557 becomes 1.06. 4.3 minus 1.06 is 3.24. It's time to apply our learning to answer an exam question. You work for Highfield Cinema. A ticket to the cinema costs £5.15. In an average week, you sell 150 tickets. There are 52 weeks in a year. Estimate the yearly income from ticket sales. Remember that we are estimating answers by rounding. Pause the video while you work out the answer, then press play when you're ready to continue. Let's check our answer. First, we can see that a ticket costs £5.15. This number could be rounded down to the nearest whole number to make the calculation simpler. £5.15, when rounded to the nearest whole number, is £5. We can now multiply £5 by the number of tickets usually sold. 5 multiplied by 150 is 750. Finally, we must multiply £750 by the number of weeks in a year. We can make 52 a simpler number to use in our calculation by rounding it to 50. 750 multiplied by 50 is 37,500. The estimated yearly income from ticket sales is £37,500. You should now be able to understand what approximate and round mean and why they are useful. Identify the place value of digits in numbers up to 2 decimal places. Remember, these are the tenths and hundredths. Round to the nearest whole number. Round to 1 decimal place. And round to 2 decimal places. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.